everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's W3 here. In today's Python tutorial video, we're going to be looking at how to make your own email bomber. We're going to be going through the code. We're going to be creating our own email bomber. It's going to be able to use standard pre-made emails, etc. And we're going to be going through the code. We're going to make a proper email program. And yeah, that's what we're going to learn today. So let's get going. So let's start off, do our imports. So we're going to do imports, and what we're going to import is we're going to import smtplib. That's the library we're going to be using so that we can send these emails and that. And we're also going to import sys just so that we can exit the program when it needs to exit, or if there's an error. So they're the two import libraries that we're going to be using for this particular program. Next, we're going to make a little class which is going to be just so we can have the strings and that colored, because we're going to make this program a little bit more like a decent program. It's going to have a bit of color to it. We're going to add a bit of color. So we're just going to make a little class, called b colors, and then what we're going to do is I've just copied and pasted these in there, just save a little bit of time. What we've got is we've got green equals, and then we've got this string here. We've got yellow, and then we've got this string, and then we've got red, and then this string. Basically what we're going to do is when we want to add color to a particular string, say this is the string. To add a color to it, if we want to print it out, we'll just do print, and then we'll do bcolors dot say green, and then we'll do plus. So we'll add bcolors, which is our class, and then green, and then we'll add that to A. If we were to print it out in not the Sublime Text console that I'm using, but in here, say PowerShell or whatnot, it would basically make this A string green, because it's just adding on this to that string there. So that's what we're going to do. Made a little class like that. That's good. Next, we're going to do our banner, which is what's going to load up at the start of our program. So we're just going to do def banner, and then we can do print. And just to make it look nice, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do say email bomber version 1.0, and then we'll just finish off like that, just so it looks a bit better. You know, you can do any sort of design you want. This is just the design that I've made from this program. And then I'm going to do print, and then same again. Now I'm just going to do made with codes, and then this is just for the design. And then we're going to do one more print, and this is going to be the banner logo, because every decent program has some sort of logo. So we're going to do, I've just copied and pasted it in there as it's a bit quicker. I'm not going to type this all out whilst you watch. So as you can see here, we've got grenade, and you can see email bomber, and then author w3. Now obviously you're learning how to make this program. You're going to be coding it yourself, so if you want you can change that, and you can write your own name, whatever, doesn't matter. So now we've got the grenade. We're going to add some color to that grenade. We're going to make it green. So what we're going to do is we're going to do bcolors dot green plus, and then that. So now the grenade will be a green grenade, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this here, and then we're just going to paste it up here as well, like that. So now email bomber version 1.0 made of codes, that will be green as well. So that's our banner made, everybody, and that's our class colors. So let's move on to the main bit of the code now. So now we're going to make a class. So class, and then it's going to be called email underscore bomber. The reason we're doing it in a class, not just functions, is because making it in a class will be so much easier. We can use some class methods, and I'll explain everything I'm doing as I go through it and explain why it's easier in a class, and hopefully you'll understand everything that I'm doing. So we're just going to make a class attribute now. Class attribute is basically just going to be a variable up at the top of the class, and that's going to be the count, and we're going to equal that to 0. That's going to be used, we're going to use that later on down at the bottom of the code, so don't worry about that for now. I'll explain it as we get to it. So we're going to do our instance method. So we're going to do def __ init __ and then self, that's referring to the instance of the method, no, the instance of the class, sorry. So basically what that is saying is, if I just do this quick, basically if we just do bomb equals email _ bomber, that self here is referring to basically this here, bomb. That's what that is, that's instance. Okay, so carry on with the code. We'll do a try, because we want to make sure it works. If it doesn't, we want it to print an exception, just so we know what's going on, what's wrong. So we'll do try. Next, we'll do print, and then I'll just copy and paste it in here, just so I don't have to type it all out. And then I've just made it, obviously, got these here. That's just so it looks a little bit nicer. But we've got initializing program, and then what we're going to do is, like we did up the top here, we've got B colors and then .green plus. We'll just copy this up here, come down here, paste it, press the space bar, get space between it just so it's easy to read. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change that to red, because obviously we got red. So that's going to be red on our screen. Initializing program will come up as a red string. That's fine. Next, when we start the program up, this is obviously, this method here is going to instantly run, etc, etc. So we're going to want the target that we're going to be obviously targeting. So we're going to do self.target equals string input. Now we're going to get the input from the user, what the target is, and then we can just write enter target email, and then I'll just do that, and then space, so that the person writing will write their email, say example blah blah blah, and that's how it will look when it comes up. Let's do back. We're also going to add in be colors red on this as well, so that'll be red. So next, we've got the target. We've told them we're initializing the bombing program. We've got the target that we want to bomb to death. Next, so we're going to want the mode. So self.mode is going to equal string input, and then I've just copied and pasted it again, just save a bit of time. And then I've just written enter bomb mode, and then in brackets I've got 1 2 3 4. And I've done 2 lines, and I've got 1, and then I've got the dots, and then I've got 1,000. So if you type in 1, that'll send 1,000 emails. Option 2 is 500 emails. Option 3 is 250 emails. And option 4, that's going to be custom, which you'll set in a little while. After they press 4, you'll set the custom amount later on. So that's the modes that we're going to give them, the options that they can have, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And we're also going to add in bcolors.red. So we just copy it, paste it in, and that's that done. So now we've got the target and we've got the mode. That's good stuff. So next, and then we're going to do if integer. Now we're going to do if self.mode is greater than integer 4, or integer self.mode is less than integer 1, and I'll just put an integer on the end of here as well. So we've got if integer self.mode greater than integer 4, or integer self.mode is less than integer 1, because obviously they need to do it in between 1, 2, 3, or 4. That's the only options. If they go over 4 or below 1, then obviously that's an invalid option. We need to tell them that they've done it wrong, and we'll just exit the program, and they can run it again and try it again. That's their fault. It's easy enough. So we're going to just do print, and then we're just going to do error invalid option goodbye, and then we'll just do sys.exit, and then we'll give it the 1, because 1 is basically saying that something's gone wrong, we're exiting. A 0, you'd use that if something's gone right and you want to exit the program cleanly or whatever, but we'll do sys.exit 1. So that's right, that's fine. They've got to choose options between 1, 2, 3 or 4. So next we'll move on, and then we can just do accept exception as E, and then we can just print error curly braces E, and then we'll just put an F at the start for format string, and we've got our E in curly braces. Basically what we're doing is we're just trying this. If it fails, which it doesn't and it won't, but if there was something, it'd pick up the exception and we'd know what's wrong. Exception, spell it properly. There we go, accept exception as E. Yep, that's fine. So that's our first method done, which is our initializing method, and that's just initializing the program. So we get the target email and we get the bomb mode, and then that's that done. So the next method, which is also going to be an instance method using self, and we're going to call that bomb and then self. And good thing about using instance methods is that when you use self.target and you create a variable with self, as long as it's in an instance method, which has obviously got to have self up there, I can now use self.target in this method here, no worries. Whereas if we use normal functions, I'd have to make it global to be able to use it, whereas it's so easy to, all these self dot variables or whatever, it's so easy for them to intertwine into other methods, and yeah, it's just nice and easy. So that's why we're using it as well. Plus it's easier, one class is our email bomber. We have a few methods, each method is solving a different problem of the program, but when they're all combined it creates the whole program. So that's also why. So let's move on. Next we'll do try again, and then we'll just do print, and I copied and pasted it, so a bit of time. We've got just a little bit of fancy stuff here again, like I said, just to make it look nice. And then we've got setting up bomb. So this bomb method is for setting up the bomb. This method here is for initializing the program. Now we're going to want that to be red as well, so we'll just copy this up here and we'll just paste it in, nice and easy, so that'll come up red. Next we'll do self.amount equal to none, just to initialize self.amount, so we've got that variable. So next we'll do if self.amount, no, self.mode is equal to integer 1. And just a quick one, actually, I've just realised I made one little mistake and I can't be bothered to go over it again. But here we've got self.mode equals string. Just delete that and change that to integer, and that's the only mistake I've made. Self.mode, change that string here, change it to integer, int, so that when they choose 1, 2, 3, 4, it's an integer. And then we can go back down here and we can carry on. So we've got if self.mode is equal to integer 1, we're going to do self.amount is going to equal integer 1000, else if self.mode is equal to integer 2, self.amount will equal integer 500, else if. So then we have to do else if self.mode is equal to integer 3, and then we're going to do self.amount is equal to integer 250, so it sends 250 emails. And then we've got to do the custom one, so else self.amount is equal to integer, and then we're going to do input, and then we're just going to do choose a custom amount. Pretty self-explanatory, and that's pretty much it. Let's have it. And then what else? Oh yeah, next then we're going to print obviously the mode that they've chosen and the amount of emails that's going to get sent, just so they know. So we do print. I'll just copy and paste it in here, save a bit more time. Got this here, which is the sort of theme I'm going for when it's making sort of statements like setting up the bomb, when it's telling you things. And then you have selected the bomb mode, and then we've got self.mode, and then the amount of emails, so self.amount emails. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this here, bcolors.red. We're going to add it in here like that. We're going to change, actually, well, that's red, that's fine actually, I think. Just going to have a little look at the code, make sure it's all done. So you've got red, yeah, red for initializing program, yeah. Okay, these ones here, which is input, we're going to make green, actually. We'll make them green, just forgot. Green, yeah. So the ones that are red, they're telling you sort of facts about the program, what's happening, so it's initializing red. And then obviously enter your email, it's going to be green, enter the bomb mode, green. So when it wants you to do something and they put in user input, it'll be green. When it's telling you something that's happening, it's red. And obviously later on as we get through the program, when the bombs are getting sent, when the emails are getting sent and it's telling you, they're going to be yellow. So that's sort of the colour scheme that I'm going for. Obviously you can do your own colour scheme if you want, that's up to you. It's just how I'm doing it. So we've got this. So then next we'll just copy this one as well. Up here, bcolors red. Put that in here, and then obviously we'll change that to green because it's asking for user input. And then all we need to do is do our exception. So accept exception as E, and then print F for format, error, and then curly braces, E. So that's our class done. We've got our class bcolors for a color scheme. We've got a function for a banner, which is at the start of the program, looking good. We've now got our class email. We've initialized it with our init method, which initializes the program. It asks for target and mode. We've then got our bomb method, which sets up the bomb. It gets the amount of emails that we're going to be sent, and then it tells the user what mode they've chosen, how many emails. So now we need to move on to the next method. So we'll do def email, and then we're just going to also put self. It's going to be an instance method. Got self, yeah. So then we're just going to do a try, like we always do. We need to do a try, and then we're going to put the code in, and we're going to do an exception, just to make sure the codes are working. If there's an error, we'll know what it is, so we can fix it later on. But I've already gone through the code. There's no errors. It works, but we'll just do it anyway. It's good practice. So next, I'm going to print, and then we're going to do setting up email, like we've done with here. We've printed and then setting up bomb, and on here we've got initializing program. Just lets the user know what's going on, why they're filling in, what they're filling in, etc. So now we're doing the email part of the code. So next, also we're going to add in the color red, because obviously it's a statement sort of print, so color red to go with the rest of them that are red. Just looks better. So next we'll do self.server equals string input, and then I just paste it in here, save a bit of time. I've just written enter email server, then we've got a line, then or select pre-made options. So I'm giving you 3 pre-made options. We've got 1, which is Gmail server account, 2 for Yahoo email account, and 3 for Outlook. Now these 3 here, they're the 3 top emails. That's why they're pre-made options. They all have the same port number. They all use the same port number, but they have different, obviously, server addresses, which we're going to do later on. But obviously, if you don't want these pre-made options, you can enter your own email server. If you've got your own custom email server at home, or you use a different one and whatnot, and it's not in the pre-made options, you can write your own in. That's fine. So that's going to be the server for the email. Then next, we're going to copy that actually, and then we're going to paste it in here, and we're going to change it to green because it's an input. So green, yeah, that's fine. Next we'll do pre-made equals a list, and then we're going to do string 1 string 2 and string 3. 1, 2, 3, they're the pre-made options, like I said, Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook. And obviously if it's not in the pre-made options, we're going to sort it out if they write their own server email now. So next we're going to do default underscore port equals true for now. So next we'll do if self.server not in pre-made. So what that is saying is basically if self.server, so if they choose 1, 2, 3, it'll be like saying if 1 or 2 or 3 is not in pre-made, which is 1, 2 or 3. So basically, yeah, if they don't choose 1, 2 or 3, it's going to be something else, and that something else is not going to be in 1, 2 or 3. So then we know they've chosen their own email server, and then we're going to have to do as following. We're going to need to let them do their own port number as well. So we'll do default underscore port equals false, because they're not going to be using the default port number because they've got their own server. Then we need to find out the port number, so we're going to do self.port equals integer input, and then just going to do enter port number. Pretty self-explanatory. We're also going to print in, do the green as well, make it green, nice and easy. So that bit's done, pretty self-explanatory. Now we need to set up the default port number. So if default underscore port is equal to true, self.port equal integer, and then 587. 587 is the default port number that is to be used with Gmail, Yahoo and Outlook. So that's obviously why we got the pre-made options there, and then obviously default port is true first of all. If they don't choose those pre-made options, default port will be set to false. We won't get that port number, and instead the program will use the port number they put in. There we go. Next, so we'll do if self.server is equal to, and then we'll do string 1, then self.server equals smtp.gmail.com, that's for number 1. Then we'll do elif self.server is equal to string 2. We'll do self.server equals smtp.mail.yahoo, so that's for the Yahoo's mail server. And then we'll do elif self.server is equal to string 3, self.server equals smtp-mail.outlook.com. So that's our 3 pre-made servers, which is for Gmail, Yahoo and Outlook down here. Obviously if they enter their own email server, then they'll have their own port as well here, because obviously the server won't be in the pre-made, and also they'll have their own port number as well, because it won't be, default port will be set to false instead of true. If they don't make their own one and they choose one of the pre-made options, then obviously none of that will matter. Default port will be true, so they'll have the 587, which is the same port number for all 3 of these, and then obviously the number, whichever option they chose, will depend on which server string they get, basically. So next we'll do self.from address, which is going to be the address that you're going to be using, basically your login, your email that you're going to be using to send the emails, equals string, and then input, and then we're going to give it the color green, so bcolors.green, then plus, and then enter from address, so they can enter their from address. Then you want to copy this string, and then you want to just paste it again, and then we can just change this here to from password, so from pwd. So we've got the username, which is the from address, and then we need the password to log in. So password, so we've got the address and the password to log in. And then you can paste it again. And then we can change that to change that to subject. And then we can just put enter subject. So we have the subject, and then we'll paste it again. Then we can change this to message, and then we'll just put in enter message. So now we need to create a message and we need to format it correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do self.msg, which is our message, which is going to equal, and then we're going to use three whatever they are to make a big long string, whatever, and then we're going to need to do capital F from, and then it's 2 dots, and then space, and then %s. That's going to be the, obviously this here in a minute. It's going to be our from address, and then we need to do a new character line, so /n. That's how we're going to format this, and you've got to do it like this. So from 2 dot space, and then %s, which is going to be here, the value, this value, and then new line character. Then we can do capital T 2 space %s/n, and then s, capital S subject space %s/n. So we've got from to subject, and then for the message, it doesn't need anything, we just need to do %s/n, and then enter, and then finish it off with the three, can't remember what they're called right now, totally a bit stoned. Anyway, and then we'll do the %sign, and then we'll do then we'll put the values in. So we're going to do self dot from address, self dot target, because obviously the target is here, which is what where we're gonna want to send it to. So self dot target. The good thing about using classes and instance methods that have the self in, which means instance method, self dot target, we can now use that variable in any of these methods that are using self, that's an instance method, without having to put global or whatever. It's just really easy, it all syncs nicely together. So yeah, self.target, and then the subject is going to be self.subject, and then the message is going to be self.message, and that's that done. We formatted it, everything's nice. So next we need to create the server, so we'll do that by doing self.s equals smtplib.smtp, and then we'll do self.server and self.port. So what that's doing is we're using the SMTP library, which is here, we've imported it here, using the SMTP library. Then we've got self.server and self.port. Self.server, that'll get decided from, obviously, if they choose a pre-made option, 1, 2 or 3, it'll get decided here which server to use, depending on the option. Or if they've entered their own, they'll have their own, that's fine. And then also, depending on if they've done a pre-made option, they'll have obviously the default port, which works for them all, or they'll have their own port, that's fine also. So that's how we set up the server, and everyone can get their own options depending on what they choose, that's fine. Then we'll do self.s.hello, which is an electronic hello to the server. So we'll do s.hello, yeah, and then we'll do self.s.start TLS. So we're starting TLS basically because we want the connection to be secure. Then we do self.s.hello again, another electronic hello. And then we'll do self.login, and then we'll do self.from address. So we're going to log in with the from address, and then we're going to need the from password. So self.from address, self.from pwd. That's how we log in. Next we're just going to do our exception now. So we'll do except exception as E, and then we're just going to print F format, and then we'll do error, and then we'll do curly braces E. So if anything goes wrong, it can tell us, but everything should be fine, like I said. So yeah, So we've got our class, email bomber. We've got the banner, which will load up first of all. We've got a little class for the colors, just make it a little bit nicer. We've got our email bomber class. We've got our initializing program, which is in our init method. We've then got our setting up the bomb, which is in our bomb method. Basically, it chooses the amount, makes sure the amount's fine, tells you what mode and the amount you've done. Then we've got setting up our email, which sets up the port and the server depending on what pre-made option, etc, etc. And we've set up the email server. We finished that. So next, we need to create another method, which is going to be DeathSend, and we're going to also need self in there. Yeah, just make sure I've done it properly. So then next, we'll do try again, and then we're going to do self.s.send mail, and then self.from address, because we're sending it from this address, and then we're going to do self.target, and that's where we're going to be sending it to. So we got from, the email that we're sending it from. Next is the email we're sending it to, where we're sending our email to, which is self.target. And then the next is going to be the message, and that's going to be self.msg. MSG is this message here, and obviously it's all been formatted correctly. We've got from, to, subject, and then message. That's how you got to format your message, your email message. So next, we've got to do self.count plus equals 1. What that's saying is self.count equals self.count plus 1. So the reason I've written self.count, if you remember, towards the start of the tutorial, we've got count up here. That's what it's relating to. Now you might think, oh, how come there's no self here like we got here? Self.target, self.mode. The reason being is, when you use count, it's a class attribute. So it's basically like email_bomber.count. Now I could use email_bomber.count, that's fine. But you can also use self, because the reason being is, when you use self.count, what it's going to do is, in this method, it's going to look for what I just said. It's going to look for email_bomber.count. It's going to look for that, and when it doesn't find that using the class email_bomber.count, it will then move on to the self, the instances. It'll use self, and basically there's a certain way it goes through, and first of all it'll look for self, it looks for the class, then it looks for the self dot whatevers, and then it goes to the attributes, and then to the variables, and then to something else. So there's basically like a certain order that it looks through in the class. So using self, it will still be able to basically use count. I didn't really explain that very well, I know that, but basically, yeah, self, count, self, or using the class, it doesn't really matter, because either way it will still find count. Alright, but you can look into that a bit more anyway yourself. So self.count plus equals 1. Next, we're just going to print, then we're going to do F, and then we'll just do bomb, curly braces, and then self.count. So every time we send an email, it'll type out bomb and then what number it's on. And then we're going to also need to put in we're going to put a color in. So we'll just copy here, B colors, and we'll just do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change that to yellow, because obviously at the top here we've got yellow, that's for our bombs, emails, whatever. Next, we'll do our exception again, so accept exception as E, and then we're just going to print error, and then curly braces E, and then we just put an F at the start there, format. So that's our send method done. So in our class, which is our email bomb, we've got the init method initializing straight away. We've got the bomb, we've got the email, and then we've got the send. So this is how we're going to send those emails with just our self.s.sendmail, and then we need the attack. So we're going to do def attack and then self, because it's going to be an instance method again, because we're going to be using obviously variables, or we're going to be using these basically self.something from an instance method. So when we're using stuff that is from an instance method which has got self in, that's how you know it's an instance method. We're going to use something from one of these methods here, like these. We also need to use them in an instance method, so we have to use instance method because we're going to be using other variables from those instance methods. That's why. So we've got def attack self, and then it's going to print, and then attacking, and then we can copy bcolors again, change that to red, so we know that it's attacking. Next, then we'll do for email in range, and then self.amount. So that's the amount of emails that we want to send, basically whatever mode you chose, or whatever custom mode, however many emails you set. We're going to do obviously send that amount of emails, so self.amount and then +1, because obviously range, it goes up to the amount. So if the amount was say 10, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're just going to do a +1 to make sure that we get the right amount. And then obviously we're going to do self.send, and then once all the emails are done, we're going to do self.s, which is referring to the server, the email, and then we're going to close. So close, we're closing the email. We've logged in, we've sent all the emails, then we're going to close. Next, we can just do print, and then I've just done here /n, and then here we go, that bit again, and then attack finished. So we've got attacking, and we send the emails, and then the attack is finished. And then afterwards we're just going to do sys exit and then 0. That's all the instance methods done. That's the email bomber finished. So now, just to finish it off, you just need to do if __ name _ is equal to comma _ main _ and then we're just going to do banner, and then next we can do we'll do bomb equals email _ bomber. So that is the instance of this class, which is bomb. That's what the self is referring to, bomb. So if you were to make more instances of this class, they would all be different and they wouldn't have the same thing. So bomb is basically saying bomb.send, bomb.s.close. It's all relating to this class here, but this instance. So so first of all, bomb equals email bomber. Now instantly do this init method, so it will instantly initialize the program, ask you for target and the mode. Once that's done, we want to set up the bomb, and then we want to do the email. So we do bomb.email, and then after we've set up the email, we're going to want to attack, which will do self.send. So then we'll do bomb.attack, and that's it, everybody. So that's our program finished. Everything's looking good. We're going to go over it now and just check everything, make sure there's no errors or anything. I see one here already. Here we've got bcolors, got an attack finished. We forgot to pull it, or I did. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to add it to there, so it will come out red. That's fine. There's one here. We've got S. We're missing the S. So just put s.login. That's fine. Here we've got if default _ port equals true. That should be equal to. That's fine. And then we've got one here as well. We've got self.mode, self.amount. We need to put the F there for format, so it doesn't actually print out the curly braces in self.mode. We actually want it to print out that variable, so we I missed out the F, but we got it now. That's fine. So it's all looking good. I'm going to save that. Save it. I'm going to open up the command prompt, go to where your documents is, where the file is, Python script, and then I'm going to run the file. So python.file_w32.py. And we've got Email Bomber version 1.0, made with codes. We've got the Bomber logo, Email Bomber, author W3W3W3. We've got Initializing Program in red, and then enter target email in green. So I'm going to just use one of my emails. The bomb mode, I'm going to choose 4 for custom. And it's got setting up bomb, choose custom amount. I'm just going to put 4. No, I'll put 3 just for this test, you know. Then you have selected bomb mode 4 and 3 emails. And then setting up email, I'm going to use pre-made option G1 for Gmail. And I'm going to use the same email that I'm attacking to send. I'm going to enter my password. And subject can just be bomb, message can be bomb. And then we should see it attacking. Yep, attacking, bomb 1, bomb 2, bomb 3. Attack finished. So there we have it. It works. That's our little program that we made. Now just a word of warning. If you're going to use Gmail, you want to use a different account when you send a load of bomb message like emails, because if you're going to spam a load of emails like 500, 1,000, you could end up getting your account suspended or blocked or something. So you don't want to use your own account even when you're testing, unless you're going to test with just like a couple of emails. That doesn't matter, you can test it with just a couple. If you're actually going to send a mass load of emails, you don't want to use your own, because you could end up getting blocked obviously, or banned or whatever, you know. And obviously, yeah, okay, this goes one at a time. It doesn't use threading. I tried threading, it was messing up. It's Gmail and Yahoo, they all don't want you to bomb, basically. They don't want it to happen, so they won't allow it. But the best thing to do is just set up a load of basically set up this to spam a load of bombs. Say if you've done 5,000 or whatever, just let it run through each one going to 5,000. So there we have it, just a little easy messing around sort of email bomber, your own little program. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learnt something new. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell and give it a like, give it a comment, all the rest, and goodbye.